The board workshop meeting of the Marlin Independent School District will be held October 2nd, 2023, beginning at 5 p.m. in the Marlin Middle School Library, 678 Success Drive, Marlin. A live stream and recording of this meeting will be available for viewing on the district's YouTube channel. The subjects to be discussed or considered or upon which any formal action may be taken are listed below. Items do not have to be taken in the same order as shown on the meeting notice. Unless removed from the consent agenda, items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. Okay, we'll have the call to order. Ms. Ehlers?
Present.
Okay. Coach Johnson? Okay. And Berlin Terry, I'm present, so we have a quorum. And next we will have the Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments?
There were none posted.
Okay, thank you. Next. Is it 5:00? And we'll be going into closed session. Okay, we're back to open session at 5:47. And next we have the superintendent's report.
Good evening, Board President Johnson and board members. Tonight we'll begin with the BOM 2022 update by Mr. Bustamante.
Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. District continues to have conversations with all of our stakeholders and vendors just to ensure a successful project delivery for all of our bond projects. Our next bond advisory committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 6th, following our board meeting. I want to take a moment to update you on the items that are coming soon for our bond 2022 projects. We're getting ready to begin a series of projects that will help improve our facilities. We'll be working hard over the next few months to make sure these improvements happen. We'll keep you updated on our progress along the way. Our first project that's coming up is our cosmetic upgrades for our baseball and softball field. Definitely want to make sure that we upgrade these facilities just to ensure that when we start offering these sports, we have facilities that are available for our kids. And then, of course, our Marlin High School new gym, the high school interior work, Marlin High School site work, and then Legion Field press box, and of course our electrical upgrades and our scoreboard at Legion Field. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Board Secretary, Mrs. Terry, members of the board. Next, we will have campus improvement plans by Mrs. Nikki Edwards.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. I cannot change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to ensure that I always reach my destination. So in our campus improvement plan, kind of piggybacks on our district improvement plan. The district improvement plan is the direction, or excuse me, the destination that we are intended to reach. And then our campus improvement plan would definitely be our adjustment of our sails. Just like our district improvement plans, it brings unity of purpose, alignment, and clear accountability for our campus to ensure that their goals and their actions are aligned with our district improvement expectations. So just an overview, I will bring this before you on October 16th for your approval and your consent. But today, just information, as a Marlin Elementary, some highlights is that we are going to be in alignment with our district with 55% of our second grade students reading on grade level, 55% of our third through fifth will perform at the meets level in math per STAR data. And again, this is in alignment with our strategic plan. And 40% of our English language learners will improve in their TEL-PAS rating. We saw that that was a significant area in need based off of our STAR data from 2 years ago, and we are anticipating it still being an area of need from last year. Marlin Secondary is in alignment with Marlin Elementary and our district with the 55% of math and for reading with our students. We've added an additional one that 100% of our Marlin High School graduates will obtain a CCMR designation, as we have for the last 3 years. Are there any questions? Okay. Men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. So I present to you our first grading cycle assessments data. We are driven by data district. We use data to guide every single one of our actions. And so our unit assessments this year, we have made a slight change. It used to be every 6 weeks. Now we are doing it twice per semester. The reason for that change was to allow a little more time for those action plans to be in place for students to kind of chew on some of those changes that are being made so that they can show the improvement. They are still aligned to, it's all STAR and ELC tested areas. It is still aligned to our curriculum pacing and our state standards. This year it is fully digital. They all contain the new item types and short constructed responses on all exams except for math, and they do inform campus action plans. Our goal so that we can meet at least 80% in Domain 1 student achievement is that we have 70% at the approaches level, 55% at meets, and 20 at masters. That's the goal that we set for every single test that we give. And so I present to you with this first exam. This is a comparison between last year's Unit 1 test, if you will, or our first 6 weeks exam, to our first common assessments this year. There is a slight change. Last year, we had some that were digital and some that were paper-based. They were 100% digital this year, and they were 100% aligned with the new item types and included the short constructor responses. We did not have writing on any of our tests this time last year. And so you see we had significant improvement when you compare year-to-year tests from our approaches from 2022 to 2023 across most areas. And in our meets areas, you see the green is highlighting if we had an improvement from year to year. If you look cohort, so like reading fourth in the approaches from last year to the fifth graders this year, 62%, you'll also see significant cohort gains. So I'm extremely proud of the campuses for the work that they did with this. However, in alignment with what we also saw from our STAR is that we have taken a dip in our master's grade level, and so that is an area of concern that we are working to mitigate before the next test. And moving into Marlin Middle School, you'll see the same trend. You see gains in the majority of the areas when you do year-to-year comparisons for Reading 6 through Social Studies 8 in both of our approaches and our meets levels. You'll also see cohort gains. If you look at, let's say, Math 7, as seventh graders last year, they were at 72% this time last year, and then they're 86% this year. Again, in alignment with what you saw at Marlin Elementary, we have an area of opportunity with our master's grade level. And lastly, we have Marlin High School. I want to note some significant differences here. English 1, English 2, and U.S. History are not taught by our instructors. That is TXVSN. We did give the exam to our students just so that we could see if what our TXVSN instructors, which again, I'm always going to remind is what our community wanted. We wanted to ensure that our TXVSN, what they are doing is preparing our students for STAR. What you'll notice here is if you compare this to our STAR from last year, these numbers are in alignment with what our students performed on in STAR. They are not in alignment with how our students performed last year on these same tests when they had their teachers in front of them. So you do see some drops from year to year. There are differences in the tests. That last year's tests were aligned strictly to our curriculum. So in English 1 and English 2, the Odell tests what might have been over the novels that they were reading, whereas this year's tests are skill-based tests, and so they are aligned more to STAR. And so while you do see a drop, I am pleased in that we have a baseline to know what supports we need to put in place for TXVSN to ensure that our students are on the right track. Biology, you see we don't have a comparison because we did not have students in biology last year. However, the numbers are trending where they ended in STAR 2 years ago. So this is a good baseline to start at, and we are only going to improve from there. And I'm extremely proud of our students in U.S. History because, again, they also have TXVSN instructors. However, our academic facilitator that works with social studies specifically worked with these students prior to them taking the test to ensure that they were set up for success. And so you see big numbers and growth in that area. We are conducting a root cause analysis in conjunction with the campuses. We are tracking our cohort trends, and the next test is set for the week of the 20th of November. And so I'll be back in front of you a little bit after that time to present improved data. Are there any questions? I think there's a myriad of reasons why the third grade reading is low. For one, we took, I'm not going to say some hits, but we had some areas of opportunities with them as second graders last year with the consistency of the teachers that we had in there. We had one fully certified teacher last year in second grade. The two other teachers were teacher assistants, and even though we worked with them all year, there are some gaps that we saw from the EOY from iReady. There is a new teacher in that content, but Ms. Washington is working heavily along with campus administration to support that. And so a little bit is just kind of gaps that have come up through the years from first grade and second grade, but we are going to mitigate that. But yes, it was significant. The drop was significant. You will not see those numbers when I stand up here before you again. Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Local school systems are funded by community tax dollars, and it's important that we have representation at the Falls County Appraisal District. Every 2 years, Falls County has a rotating cycle of board members to serve on their board. This year, as a part of the 5-member board, there are 3 candidates up for election, and they're actually running, not opposed. We have Jesse Martinez, Linda Mitchell, and Shirley Melton. Are there any questions? Next, we will have the purchase of Cool View by Dr. Stacy Parker Knight.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. Creating a more secure learning environment for students and staff is our top priority. Window film plays a crucial role in enhancing our safety by offering the reinforcement of glass. This helps mitigate the risk of shattering windows in any event of an incident. So as of October 27th of 2022, Governor Abbott did announce $400 million in funding to TEA to assist school districts with replacing and upgrading doors, windows, communications, and other safety measures. This was in direct response to the unfortunate tragedy in Uvalde, and so to just do an assessment across the state to help ensure that we are safe. So here in Marlin, we conducted a needs assessment where we identified our needs based on TEA's safety and security upgrade recommendations in conjunction with this funding. One recommendation excuse me, was for windows to be reinforced with entry resistant film. And so Cool View is the vendor that we found that offered this service. They will provide clear shield barrier to intruders. This help prevents, again, forced entry into buildings, and this will take place immediately at our elementary and middle school campuses. That quote is $60,585.66, but this cost is completely funded with the 22 to 25 school safety standards formula grant. Are there any questions? Okay.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. When you are able to merge technology and safety and security, then you have transparency, you have adequate policies, and you have an addition of safety and security for our students. As part of the same grant that Dr. Parker Knight was just discussing, one of the allowed costs is for a silent panic alert technology in conjunction with technology that includes and not limits visitor screening, safety drills, response to emergencies by 911 or first responders, and reunification. We, in searching for a solution for this product, I went to CWG. They are one of our preferred technology vendors who wholly owns the product that I found to fulfill those tasks. They will provide a local installer to facilitate the integration of the hardware and the software, and purchases made through them are on a state contract. The product that I selected was InformaCast. It includes features such as silent panic, mass communication, texting, calls that go out to parents in the event of an emergency. It also includes things like bell timers. It can play audio over the PA. It can contact law enforcement and fire dispatch after approval by an administrator. And it is used by schools, state and local governments, colleges, all over the country. The integrator that CDWG is providing is Videotech Systems. They're based in Dallas. They are a hub business, and they've previously done work for Dallas ISD, among many other ISDs, American Airlines, Dallas Cowboys, Lockheed Martin, and many other companies. The cost for the software and hardware to implement single wire is for 3 years is $15,511.47. The labor, integration, and testing is $16,471. A total project cost of $31,982.47. And again, this is funded by the School Safety Standards Formula Grant. Are there any questions?
Next, we will have the purchase of Thorough Lock and Safe Company by Dr. Stacy Parker Knight.
Good evening again, Board President Johnson's member of the board, Dr. Henson. Imagine you're being chased by a ferocious dog and your only way to safety is to run and unlock a door. You pull out your key ring and you have 29 keys that all look the same. We don't want to imagine that outcome. So quality classroom locks are essential in schools as they serve as the first line of defense in emergencies, ensuring the safety of all of our students and staff. Again, along the lines of that $400 million in funding, again, to replace and upgrade doors. Our one other recommendation was for the rekeying of the interior locks. And so what this will allow is for the reduction of the number of keys dangling on Vince's key ring, and that we can have better access to our classrooms. So Thorough Lock and Safe are an experienced full-service locksmith company. They offer high-quality locks, a variety of popular brands that we'll be able to choose from. All the interior doors will be on one master key, which is critical, and we will start this project at our elementary and middle campuses. The amount that they've quoted for this work is $71,245.15. And again, it is fully covered and will be funded by the School Safety Standards Formula Grant. Are there any questions?
Board Secretary Terry, this concludes the superintendent's report.
Are we voting on the consent agenda? I think they're going to say something. Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda? Okay. All right. Have a motion from Mr. Johnson to approve the consent agenda, and a second by Ms. Ehlers. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The consent agenda is approved by a vote of 3-0, and if there's not any other business, we'll adjourn.
6:05.
6:05. I'm sorry, I couldn't see the clock.